There's a specific kind of frustration that I think only developers truly understand.
Oh, absolutely.
It is that feeling when you have been building software for maybe 10, 15 years. You know the system inside and out. You are an expert.
And then the landscape shifts.
Exactly. Almost overnight. And suddenly you feel like a junior developer again. You are staring at a screen full of acronyms, RAP and CAP and BTP and ADT.
And you really just want to write hello world.
Yes. Without needing a massive architecture diagram to figure out where the code actually lives.
Yeah, it's the classic paradox of choice hitting the ABAP world. We went from a very contained environment, the SAP GUI, the monolith, to this distributed cloud architecture.
And for a lot of people, that mountain just looks unclimbable.
Totally unclimbable.
So that is exactly what we are tackling today on this deep dive. We are not going to talk about the future of tech in these broad, vague strokes.
No, we're getting into the weeds today.
Right. We are looking at a very practical, grounded breakdown from the 2025 ABA Conf, specifically a session by Bjorn S. titled ABAP Cloud Skills for the Start.
And what I really appreciate about this source is that it ignores all the marketing hype.
Yeah, there is zero exaggeration in it.
Exactly. It does not tell you that everything is magically easy now. It asks a very hard question. What is the absolute minimum you need to know to actually build something that works?
And then how do you move from it works to it is professional?
Right.
So our mission today is to strip away the fluff. We are going to focus strictly on the foundational levels that the source outlines. Level 1, Level 2, and Level 3.
To guide you from that bare minimum survival mode all the way up to clean core mastery.
Because I know I am the kind of developer who just wants to get my hands dirty immediately. I want to build the app.
Which is dangerous. And I am here to play the role of the architect, ensuring your foundation is solid before you try to build the penthouse.
Fair enough. So let us start at the bottom. Level 1. The minimum viable developer. I am an ABAP developer. I have got my experience. I want to build a cloud-ready app. What do I absolutely need to have in my backpack?
Well, first we have to clarify what experience actually means here. The source assumes you are not learning to program from scratch.
Yeah.
You already know ABAP.
Okay.
But specifically, you need the ABAP dictionary, so tables, data elements, domains. And you absolutely need ABAP objects.
Okay, so if I am a procedural programmer who really loves form routines and global variables...
These are in trouble.
Yeah, I figured.
You cannot do ABAP Cloud with procedural code. It just does not work. The entire model relies on classes and interfaces. If you are not comfortable with instantiation and inheritance, that is your pre-work.
Before you even open the new tools.
Exactly.
Speaking of tools, this is usually the very first friction point I hear about. I've talked to so many devs who just want to stay in SE80.
Oh, I know.
It is comfortable. It is fast. Can I not just write my modern code in SE80?
No, you cannot. And this is not just SAP trying to force a shiny new UI on you for no reason. It is a hard technical limitation.
Really?
Yeah. The modern syntax, the behavior definitions for RAP, the CDS views, SE80 literally cannot parse or display those editors correctly.
So it is not a choice.
It is not a choice. You have to move to ADT, ABA development tools in Eclipse.
And I know for a veteran, losing that specific debugging flow of the GUI feels like losing a limb.
It does. But for cloud development, ADT is the only game in town. Time spent in SE80 now is just wasted time.
Okay, so I have installed Eclipse. I have brushed up on my objects. Now, what acts as the foundation? Because in the old days, I would build a table and then I would build a screen. What is the equivalent now?
You still build a table,
Oh.
but then you immediately move to CDS, Core Data Services.
Right.
In Level 1, CDS does double duty. It defines your data model, so how the data looks, but it also defines your UI model.
That is the part that always trips people up. Defining the UI inside the back-end code.
Yes. You use annotations. You literally write a line of code above a field that says something like at UI.lineItemPosition 10.
Okay.
That tells the system to put this column first in the list. You are not dragging and dropping buttons anymore. You are coding the intent of the UI.
So CDS handles the data and the look. What handles the logic, the actual behavior?
That is RAP, the RESTful Application Programming Model. You can think of RAP as the replacement for all those old PBO and PAI modules you used to write.
So if I need to validate that a user entered a valid date, or if I need an approve button to trigger a status change...
You define that in the behavior definition, and you implement the actual logic in a standard ABA class.
Okay.
And here's the big shift. In the old world, your validation logic was often tied directly to the screen logic itself.
Right, in the PAI.
Exactly. In RAP, the behavior is tied to the data entity. It does not matter if the data comes from a Fiori app or an API call or a batch job. That validation fires every single time.
That is actually a massive improvement for consistency.
Huge improvement.
Now I have to ask about the preview aspect. Because we are writing all this code in Eclipse and ADT, how do we actually see the app?
Well, ADT has a built-in preview feature. It renders a Fiori application on the fly based on those CDS annotations you wrote. It is great for testing your logic.
Nice and easy.
But, and this is a critical distinction the source makes, you cannot deploy that preview to a customer.
Why not? I mean, if it looks like an app and smells like an app.
Because it is just a preview wrapper.
Yeah.
To create the actual deployable Fiori application, you have to switch tools.
Oh, boy.
You leave Eclipse and you go to the Business Application Studio, the BAS.
And this is exactly where developers start rolling their eyes and going another tool.
Really. I completely get the fatigue, but think of it this way. ADT is for the back end, the logic, the data. BAS is for the front end. It takes your back-end service and generates the final HTML and JavaScript bundle.
Using Fiori elements, right?
Yes,
Ah.
generates is the key word there. You strictly use Fiori elements at this level.
So we are not writing JavaScript.
Not at level 1. Fiori elements reads your CDS annotations and builds the app for you. You need a basic understanding of how it works so you know why the app looks the way it does. But you are not handwriting front-end code.
Okay. So I have got my data. I have got my behavior in RAP. And I have generated a UI that feels like a complete product.
It does.
So why does the source label this as minimum? It sounds pretty functional to me. Is this enough to run a project?
It is functional, but it is highly fragile. The source explicitly warns that a developer at level 1 is technically capable of building an app, but they are essentially unsafe without supervision.
Unsafe in what way? Like breaking the system?
Because they do not know the rules of the cloud yet. They are missing the ABAP cloud know-how, the governance.
No, I see.
They might write a select statement that hits a massive database table without an index. Or they might use an internal SAP function module that is slated to be deleted in the next upgrade.
Right. They can build functionality, but they are likely building a mountain of technical debt.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Level 1 allows you to drive the car, but you do not know the traffic laws yet.
That makes perfect sense.
The source is very firm on this.
Yeah.
If you have level 1 developers on a project, there must be a guide, a senior person or architect reviewing the code to ensure it adheres to cloud standards.
Without that guide, you are just building legacy code on a shiny new platform.
Exactly.
So how do we stop needing the guide? How do we become the guide ourselves? That naturally brings us to level 2, quality.
Yes. Level 2 is where we move from making it work to making it good software. The focus shifts entirely to code quality and maintainability.
Stabilizing the core. And the source mentions modernizing syntax here. Is this just about making the code look pretty?
Not at all. It is about efficiency and correctness. ADA has 40 years of history. There are statements that still technically work but are completely obsolete.
Right.
Level 2 means developers need to actively check which statements have successors. You need to learn inline declarations, constructor expressions. Avoid things like move corresponding when a simple assignment works.
It is about stripping out the bloat.
Yes. And that ties directly into the first major pillar of this level, which is clean ABAP.
I hear this term thrown around constantly. Is it just a standard style guide?
It is more of a philosophy. The core idea is that code is read 10 times more often than it is written. Clean ABAP prioritizes readability.
Okay.
I mean short methods, variable names that actually explain what they contain. If a method is called process invoice, it should not also be sending an email and silently updating the customer master record in the background.
Separation of concern.
Exactly. And that separation is what enables the second massive pillar of level 2, ABAP unit.
Now, be honest with me. In the classic world, how many ABAP developers actually wrote unit tests?
Very, very few. And there was a valid reason for that. Classic ABAP code is usually incredibly tightly coupled.
Everything depends on everything else.
Right. If your code selects data from the database, calculates a tax rate, and then immediately updates a screen, you literally cannot write a unit test for it.
Because you cannot run the calculation without the database and the UI being present.
Precisely. So level 2 is not just about learning how to write tests. It is about learning how to write code that can be automatically tested.
That is a huge mental shift.
The source emphasizes it is the hardest shift. You have to learn dependency injection. You have to learn to isolate your business logic. You are not just testing to find bugs. You are designing your code so it can be verified automatically to save maintenance time later.
Because in the cloud environment, updates happen automatically. You cannot manually click through and test everything every quarter.
Correct. If you do not have automated tests, every SAP upgrade is a panic attack.
Oh.
With ABAP Unit, it is a non-event.
I want to touch on one more thing in level 2 because it comes up a lot. The API challenge, this whole clean core concept.
Yes.
Why is direct table access such a huge taboo now? We have done a select star from Mirai for decades. It is simple.
It was simple, but it created an absolute nightmare for upgrades. If SAP changes the underlying structure of MRA, your custom code breaks. Yeah. In the cloud, SAP promises that upgrades will not break your code. But the only way they can guarantee that promise is if you stop touching the raw tables directly.
So we have to use the released SAP standard API.
Yes. You use a CDS view provided by SAP that is explicitly marked as released. It acts as a contract. SAP promises the interface of that view will not change, even if they completely restructure the database underneath.
And level 2 mastery is knowing exactly where to find those APIs and how to find the successors for the classic ones.
Exactly. Running smoothly in the clean core.
But what if you are on-premise or in a private cloud scenario and you have to use something old?
You should still act like you are in the public cloud. The Force strongly recommends building wrappers as a necessity.
Wrappers.
Yeah. If you absolutely have to call an unreleased legacy function module, wrap it in a modern class interface.
Oh, that is smart.
That way your new code stays clean. And when you eventually migrate or SAP releases a modern API, you only have to rewrite that one wrapper class, not the entire application.
It is containment. I like that. Oh, real quick, what about UI extensibility at this level? Can I finally write some freestyle JavaScript?
The recommendation is still no.
Ah.
Do not jump straight to freestyle applications.
Really?
Yeah. If you need to go beyond the standard Fiori floor plan, you should use the flexible programming model. Specifically for OData v4, it is the standard safe way to extend functionality without breaking the core architecture.
Got it. Keep it within the guardrails.
Always.
Okay, so level 2 gives us professional, stable, well-tested code. Now we climb to the final summit. Level 3, utilization.
The mastery level.
What actually separates a level 2 professional from a level 3 master?
A level 3 developer thinks like an architect.
Hmm.
They are not just looking at the single class they are writing. They are looking at the overall structure, rounding out the skill set to become a true clean core developer.
And the source introduces software components here, right?
Yes. The concept of clearly separating developments.
Yeah.
In a large system, you cannot have everyone throwing code into the same bucket.
Right.
Software components allow you to bundle and structure your extensions properly. Say, putting HR extensions into a package that could be deployed, versioned, and managed entirely independently of your finance extensions.
So it is about organizing the lifecycle of the code, but there is also a very heavy coding element discussed here, the XCO libraries.
Yes.
The source actually calls this the master class of usable APIs. What makes XCO so special?
So XCO stands for Extension Components. It is a library of standard APIs built by SAP that makes incredibly difficult things very easy and efficient. They are not easy to learn, but the payoff is massive.
Give me a concrete example.
Okay, imagine you need to parse a complex JSON file coming from some external web service.
Yeah.
In classic ABAP, you would be messing around with transformations, maybe some awful string slicing, handling different character encodings.
Oh, I've been there. It is messy and it is prone to dumps.
Exactly. With XCO, you have a strictly typed object-oriented API. You essentially say, Xcode JSON, parse my string, and it gives you back a fully structured object you can navigate safely. It handles the errors, the types, the formatting. It basically turns 50 lines of custom plumbing code into 3 lines of highly robust business code.
So the master uses XCO to completely avoid reinventing the wheel.
Precisely. But a master also knows when not to use code at all.
And this brings up the key user apps section. I found this really interesting because developers usually look down on low-code or no-code tools.
And that is a huge mistake.
Ooh.
The source argues that key user apps should absolutely be your first choice for simple extensions.
First choice.
Yes. If a user just needs a new custom field on a standard purchase order, do not fire up Eclipse. Do not write new CDS views. Use the key user tool.
Why, though? Would custom code not be more robust or flexible?
Actually, no, because the key user tool handles the entire pipeline automatically,
Huh.
from the database to the API to the UI.
Oh, it does all the layers.
All of them. And it guarantees upgrade safety. Test these tools before you ever start coding. If you code it manually, you own the maintenance of all those layers forever.
A level 3 developer knows that the best code is the code you do not have to write or maintain. That is a very mature perspective.
It really is. Save your heavy lifting for the complex business problems.
Finally, level 3 deals with side-by-side scenarios, integrating with the business technology platform, BTP.
Yes. When you need to build apps that live completely outside the core SAP system, you need BTP knowledge.
And this is where the debate always heats up. If I am building side by side on BTP, should I not be using CPI? Like Cloud Application Programming Model with Node.js or Java, is that not the modern way?
It is a modern way, but the source makes a very pragmatic recommendation here to keep the learning curve manageable.
What do they suggest?
If you are an ABAP, stick to RAP on the SAP BTP ABA environment.
Do not jump to CIP.
Right. Do not jump to CKP so you do not have to learn a whole new paradigm from scratch.
That makes a lot of sense. If you switch to Node.js, your team has to learn a new language, a new build tool, a new deployment process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
By using ABAP on BTP, you are reusing all those level 1 and level 2 skills you just learned. You use the same ADT, the same RI, the same CDS.
You just deploy it to a different runtime.
Exactly. You stay efficient.
So let us summarize this entire journey. Level 1 is the minimum, getting started. You need your dictionary in O. You shift to ADT, and you use CDS and RAP to build the backend with Fiori elements generating the UI, but you need a guide.
Right.
Then level 2 is quality, stabilizing the core. You modernize your syntax, you adopt clean ABAP and ABAP unit for testable, maintainable code, and you strictly use released APIs.
Quality layer.
And finally, level 3 is finalization, mastery. Structuring with software components, mastering those XCO libraries, utilizing key user apps first, and leveraging BTP with ABAP environment for side-by-side scenarios.
That is the complete map. And Bjorn S. uses an analogy in the conclusion that perfectly captures this progression. The sharpened pencil.
Oh, how does that fit in?
He says that level 1 is like writing with a dull pencil. You can definitely make marks on the paper, you can convey your information, but it is messy. It is broad, and it lacks definition.
Yeah, and as you move up the levels and improve your skills...
You are sharpening that pencil. Regular sharpening provides quality and expertise. Level 2 gives you fine, precise lines. And level 3 allows you to add additional color accents to your portfolio.
I love that. You are not just getting the job done, you are creating a solution that is elegant.
It is about building it in a way that survives the future. Because even the minimum has a steep learning curve.
It really does. Which brings us to our closing thought today, something for you listening to mull over that builds on this idea of surviving the future.
I am curious where you were taking this.
Well, the source warns about the dangers of a level 1 developer building without a guide. But let us look at the bigger picture of team culture. If you look at your current project or your organization, are you actively rewarding the firefighters who keep a level 1 house of cards standing? The ones who rely on a guide to fix things when they break? Or are you truly investing in and promoting the level 2 quality? The developers who write the tests and use the clean syntax so the structure stands on its own and the fires never start in the first place.
That is a very tough question for a lot of IT managers to answer honestly. Are you building technical debt or are you building an asset?
Exactly. It is worth investigating in your own teams. Thank you all for joining us on this deep dive into the levels of ABAP cloud learning.
Keep sharpening those pencils. Catch you next time.